one of the most important boundaries laws in marriage is the law of responsibility. And the law of responsibility says that we're responsible for our own behavior. I'm not responsible for your behavior. You're not responsible for my behavior. But just because I'm not responsible for your behavior or your problem or your hurt or whatever, I am responsible to you in that issue. Okay? So, for example, let's say, we'll go back to addiction. Let's say somebody has a problem with a substance. Well, the other spouse can't control that. If you try to take responsibility for them, then you're nagging them, trying to control them, trying to, whatever. Because you're trying to take control of them. You can't be responsible for that because they're the only ones that have control of it. But that doesn't mean you just ignore it and blow it off. What it means is that you act responsibly to them. So that's where instead of controlling or judging or this, that, and the other, you do the responsible thing, which is to confront the problem well with grace and truth, to get some help, to maybe do an intervention, to let them know the consequences it's having in the family, all the way up to sometimes you might have to be responsible by saying, as long as you're out of control and drinking and all of that and hurting the kids, you can't live here. We can't live with you anymore. See, that's a responsible action towards them as well. On the other side, if somebody's hurt, if they're in pain, well, if they're depressed, they have to work on that, but we can certainly be responsible to them by offering support and compassion, offering help, being a bridge to help, et cetera, et cetera. So basically it gets down to the essence of self-control. You can't do for somebody else what they can only do for themselves. That's a line that God doesn't cross. It's a line that he built in. It's called freedom. Okay? Somebody's free to make their own choices, and somebody's free to solve their problems or make sure their problems get solved. But what we can do is we can be responsible towards them to be a redemptive healing agent in any way possible. And the other way we can be responsible towards them is to ask ourselves, what am I doing to contribute to the problem? What am I doing to trigger you? What am I doing to make it hard for you to talk to me? What am I doing to make it difficult for you to open up? In other words, I probably got some part to play in this as well. Even though I'm not causing you to do this, I probably could do something better. This is where you see couples going, well, I wouldn't be like that if you, well, that's because you, and they keep blaming each other for their own behavior. Adam did this. He said, well, God, it's the woman you gave me. God said, Adam, this is paraphrase. Adam, and God would say this throughout the Bible, Adam, you sinned. Don't blame it on the wife. Okay, you did this. So your responsibility to the other person is no matter what they do, we're called not to let evil overcome us. It says don't be overcome by somebody's immaturity. Don't be overcome by their sarcasm. Don't be overcome by their control. But overcome that with good. Give them something better than they're giving you. That's being responsible to them so you can be redemptive in the process. Really interesting. When you have a conflict, the Bible doesn't let anybody off the hook. It says if your brother sins against you, they're responsible for the sin. You're responsible to go to them and talk to them. And then it says this, I flipped it here. It also says, if they have something against you, you go to them. So now God's turned it into a responsibility sandwich. If you're the one that did the hurting, you got to go to them. If you're the hurt one, you got to go to them. Nobody gets off the hook here without responsibility. But we can't take responsibility for, we got to be responsible too.